promise I'm gonna get it gone. I stay solid, I get caught, I'm fighting till they sit me down. You get caught, you singing like a nigga in the studio. Brody sold the whip for 1,000 cause we just slid in it. I really make a house call, fuck if your kids in it. Been through some shit that's why my heart too froze. You ain't living what you rapping in the studio. You get your noodle blown, fucking with the opposition. My brother making decisions on anybody that's dissing. With the quickness, I'ma make a decision, I'm on a mission. You tripping, thinking we missing, I'm shooting up with precision. Red beam on the barrel to give myself some assistance. My brother come through like sniper, he knock you off from a distance. Big foe with no foe, I'm balling just like a piston. We get the... Damn, heard it's another man down in my city, Brody Chopper got a red dot and some titties, I ain't with the drama. I'm just trying to touch a milli, I'm a addy dropper. Cause on my mama we get busy. Another man down in my city, Brody Chopper got a red dot and some titties, I ain't with the drama. I'm just trying to touch a milli, I'm a addy dropper. Cause on my mama we get busy. Plug, pull up with the pack and I ain't even busted down. Couple minutes on my phone, I promise I'm gonna get it gone. I stay solid, I get caught, I'm fighting till they sit me down. You get caught, you singing like a nigga in the studio. Brody sold the whip for 1,000 cause we just slid in it. I really make a house call, fuck if your kids in it. Been through some shit that's why my heart too froze. You ain't living what you rapping in the studio. You get your noodle blown, fucking with the opposition. My brother making decisions on anybody that's dissing. With the quickness, I'ma make a decision, I'm on a mission. You tripping, thinking we missing, I'm shooting up with precision. Red beam on the barrel to give myself some assistance. My brother come through like sniper, he knock you off from a distance. Big foe with no foe, I'm balling just like a piston. We get the... Damn, heard it's another...
This is the El Nino Podcast. I'm Eladio Nino, and this is Real Everyday People. So, like I told you guys, it's Monday, July 21st. We're going to do it like the Detroit Pistons bad boys, back to back, baby. So we back to back. We got another one. Before we get started, big shout out to the Michigan Roundtable. Also, big shout out to S&D PJ Housing. I was about to say Project Housing. P&J Housing and Detroit Action. And I got some special guests here. And I'm really honored to have them here. Everybody's going to share a little bit about themselves, their stories. So I definitely appreciate everybody tuning in, tapping in, and learning from us. Our title today will be Detroit Stories of Redemption and Solidarity. So please share it up. And I have some dope guests. Some are returning guests, and some for the first time. I got Laura Chavez here. I got my man Aref Naji, and I got my man Yusuf Bunchi Shakur here. Definitely welcome to the El Nino Podcast, and you guys welcome again. You guys are definitely recognized in our community, Southwest Detroit, and we represent Detroit as a whole, and definitely happy and proud to have everybody here. And we can get started. Ladies first. We'll start with Laura Chavez. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about where you come from, and some of the things that you faced and how you've been able to overcome those things.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for creating the space. I think it's really important to have these type of spaces and to be able to tell stories like this. Laura Chavez, family, grew up in Southwest Detroit, foster child, and a lot of adversity that we faced through my youth and adolescence. I was asked to be a part of this group for a couple reasons. I am the family member of an incarcerated sibling, and a lot of people don't always understand what the family faces through incarceration. It's like we're also being punished, right? And I was 14 years old when my sibling was incarcerated, and so I was emancipated from my parents at 15, which means it was virtually impossible for me to see my brother. And my brother was my closest person that I had. Obviously, growing up and going through foster care, we had already been through so many trials and tribulations that once he was taken from me, that was my person. That was my go-to. And so I would beg people for rides. I would ask people to sign up. Can you please be on the visitor list so that you can take me and act like you're my parent or my guardian? And through the 9.5 years that my brother was incarcerated, I never missed a month. I never missed a month to see my brother. My brother was shipped all over Michigan and then to Virginia because space was lost. And I know that people don't always understand where's that tenacity? How did you do it? All I knew was that I was not going to go and not miss my brother, right? And he needed me, and I knew what it meant for us to stay connected and for him to know that he had me in his corner. And a lot of times what I find is that you just need that person that believes in you, that gives you that support system. I have a friend right now that I call him a pen pal. He's been incarcerated for 32 years. I've never actually seen him in person, but he went to prison the exact same time my brother went to prison. His name's Wilson Rivera. And I have never stopped writing Wilson. And I will probably never stop writing Wilson. But I knew that when his mother asked me, can you please write my son? He needs somebody that's not me. And I was like, absolutely. And we've continued to stay connected. We're friends. My brother's like, that's a good brother. I'm so happy that you stay connected. You're loyal as F, right? But for me, it's those little words, the one-liners, and now there's JPay, so it's super convenient, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I say all of that to say it's so important to be on the outside, and sometimes they're living through you. And then you don't want to share your pain. You don't want to let them know how much you're suffering, but we're suffering. We're being punished at the same time. And there's so many barriers that are put in place that make it as if you're also paying the price of the crime that they're being, convicted of. And people don't understand that there's wraparound services that are needed for family members, and we didn't do anything, right? And so how do you support the family that's left behind? How do you support the family that's trying to make a way and make a space for them when they come home? I know I worked very hard to build my credit up as a youth so that when my brother came home, he would have credit. I put him on my credit cards, I bought a vehicle so that he would have a vehicle. I never wanted my brother to go back to prison. So I kept thinking about, he's a convicted felon with murder. Who's going to hire him? So now I have to figure out, what can he do? I paid for his schooling so he could go through heating and cooling, HVAC, everything that I could possibly do to support him so that he could be successful. And my brother's successful. He's done a lot of really great intervention programs for youth. He calls himself semi-retired, but he always says that he doesn't know what he did or how God blessed him to have me as his sister. And I say the same for him, because he taught me that everyone deserves a second chance. It's very important to see the real in people and to know that, just because you're convicted of something, that doesn't define you. That doesn't define my brother. He was 16, he's now 50 years old, and he's still being treated as if he was that convicted felon that was 16 years old that went to jail. When the police approach him right now, they still approach him with guns up. My brother's in a wheelchair. My brother can't even sometimes get out of the car, and they try to pull him out of the car. I've been in the vehicle with him when these things happen. And so it's just very interesting to me. And I hope that in having these conversations that things do change, but I'm always going to be an advocate. I'm always going to be a warrior, and I'm always going to be a chingona, from
That's
Southwest.
Right. That's right.
And doing what needs to be done and showing up, standing up and speaking up for truth.
Wow, that's really dope. That's really dope. And, I used to tell my family, send me pictures, because I want to be able to live life through your eyes. I want to be able to see what you see. And, people don't understand that, that a simple JPay can change the dynamics of a person's day. You know what I'm saying? Just, hey, how you doing? This, that, and the other. And, a lot of us got really strong in prison. And a lot of our families during them phone calls, whether it was, with my mother or friends, things like that, they used to lean on us, and I was always very open to them sharing their problems with me, because it was therapeutic for them, and I was at the point where I was very strong mentally, I was very strong spiritually, and even on visits it would be refreshing for my family to be able to share the stress and frustration that they're going through. And I was grateful to be that vessel and be that outlet for them, what I'm saying, because people out here, they don't want to hear that, because everybody's in the same struggle. Everybody got problems, and nobody want to hear nobody else's problems. But, us being in prison, we were very strong. We were very focused. And, so I was always, grateful to be able to be, you know, that ear, you know what I'm saying, for my family. And, you know, grateful for everything they did for me, you know, secure packs, you know, phone calls, pictures, letters, birthday cards, Christmas cards, all those types of things, you know, because that's what gives you hope in there, you know, because there was a point in time where you can get lost in the sauce. You know, I had so much time in there. I did 17 years. I got comfortable in there. And I mean, I really forgot. I lost sight of coming home. You know what I'm saying? Like, prison became my home. But it wasn't, you know, until, you know, I had to remind myself that, you know, I have a life outside of here, you know, and, you know, I used to look at my photo albums all the time and you know, it would just restore that hope for me, you know. So, you know, salute to you for being a trooper for your brother, for holding him down, because, you know, that's where I learned the difference between circumstantial love and unconditional love, because prior to me going to prison, I had a million friends every day. I couldn't escape nobody. And then as soon as I went to prison, I couldn't get a hold of nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Go away.
So I said, you know, there's a big difference between circumstantial and unconditional love, you know, and it's important to know that, you know. Yeah. But you know, thank you for sharing that. Aref Naji, what's up, man? Talk to us. Let us know what it is and what it ain't, man.
What's up, Eladio?
Yup.
Good to be back.
I know you've been in that concrete jungle.
I was going to start off by saying I'm not going to tell my whole story because I could go for hours.
I know
and
you
go
can.
back to the other podcast.
You got to share, bro.
But I'm going to share something. I came from a Yemeni background. I moved to the east side of Detroit from New York. I was born and raised in New York. And went to school, educated, 2 college degrees from Wayne State University, engineering and liberal arts.
Dang, you smart.
I wasn't that smart. Like that. I took a wrong turn. You know, like we said, I talked previously that some people, the streets choose them. I chose the streets.
Okay. And
because that's where I was looking for love, you know, because that's where I felt I got it at. And it wasn't like in our household when we were growing up, the families, they don't know, it's tough love. They don't show love in our community. You know, just be a man. You know, that's what it is. Just be a man. But, you know, so 43, you know, I was hustling in the street.
Is that part of a Muslim culture or is it part of...
No, that's our Yemeni culture. You know, every Muslim culture is different, but the stigma's there. The stigmas from every Islamic family is there, whether you Iraqi, Lebanese, Yemeni, even African Muslim, they got that stigma. They don't want to talk about mental health. They don't want to talk about somebody's selling drugs, somebody went to jail, or somebody has mental health issues. They don't want to talk about any of that. They keep that on DL. And, you know, I kind of understand, but how could you get that help? You know, you can't get it if you don't seek it. I mean, sometimes you're going to have to do that privately. So I was in the streets, according to
Shut your ass according to.
According to Judge Nancy Edmonds, she said we tore the streets up for as long as she could remember.
Who is we?
The Detroit Highwaymen Motorcycle Club. And I was one of the leaders in it. And
you had your own chapter?
And, what's that?
You had your own chapter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We were just riding, have a good time. Then we started using drugs, you know, and we just got off the hook. But it wasn't as bad as they made it sound. When they want a RICO, they're gonna get a RICO. When they want to fabricate, they're gonna fabricate, and they made it stick. So I got a 37-year sentence. And the way I look at it, when the feds came. They said, we've been wanting you for 23 years. We got you now. We're going to make this stick. They made a stick, all right.
They was on your ass.
Yeah.
Shit.
So, you know, when I was young, I was in the streets, tearing up the city. Southwest, I think I tore up the worst. Did a lot of mischief out there. We had shootouts. We had all that, you know, and I was legal carry. You know, and it was self-defense. But, you know,
you know, a lot of times, because I grew up in a gang culture as well at a very young age, and you know, you don't realize how much you take away from your family, because once I picked up my flag and my little 2.5, you know what I'm saying, I was dedicated to that. I was devoted to the gang. Every decision I made was conducive in the well-being of the gang. I mean, I was willing to sacrifice my life. I was willing to sacrifice my freedom, even the safety and well-being of my own family, my mother and my brothers. I mean, there were days where they had to sleep on the floor because our house got shot up, or, you know, our house had got cocktail bombed, or, you know, just all these types of, my house got raided by Drano, like, you know, all these types of things that I put my family through. And like I was saying, you know, I had so many friends prior to, and then going to prison, you know, the friends that I found that were already in there, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, you deprive your family of the love that they deserve from you, the loyalty that they deserve from you. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and your family suffers the most.
You realize that when you go to prison and they got to suffer to come see you, especially when I'm out in California and in Kentucky, Sandstone, Minnesota, and they got to pay for flights to come out or take the long drives.
And not only that, but they were maintaining your businesses that you had as well.
Yeah.
You had what? You were the owner of what, 2-3 restaurants that you had going on at that time?
I had 2 at the time when I went in, a bar and grill, the pet store. I had to shut them down, no one to run them. Like I mentioned before, my daughter kept the one open. She was only 17, and I still got Pancho Villas, you know?
Okay.
So that's, you know, it took care of the family, but it was a struggle for her. And when you get incarcerated, your family is incarcerated. People don't know that, and that's why we need the awareness for the community. Who's getting incarcerated the most? The black and brown.
Absolutely.
And they know how to make a stick.
Yeah. And you know, I work at the Wayne County Juvenile Detention Facility, and I'm constantly sharing my story. And, you know, a lot of these young guys are only 15, 16, but they already got kids. And I say, listen, if you don't get your shit together, your kid's going to be calling somebody else dad. Is that what you want? When I was in prison, I seen grown men on the phone crying because they calling home, baby mama just got beat up, they kids just got sexually abused by the boyfriend, you know, your kids calling somebody else dad, your kids, baby mama getting mistreated, family getting evicted, you know what I'm saying? Like, you think it's hard for your family struggling while you're there. Imagine how much more they struggle when you're not. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's just the reality of things. And I want them to really understand because, you know, a lot of people say, oh, just don't go to prison because it's not good for you. No, I need to let you know the real shit. You know what I'm saying? You want to sit on the toilet and jack off? You want to sit there next to your bunkie and jack off? Is that what you want to do? Because that's what's there for you. You want to be preyed on because there ain't number of predators in there. They'll prey on your money. They'll prey on your ass. They'll prey on everything. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the ugly shit's there for you.
Eladio, some families put their kids in prison because they think it's going to rehabilitate them. And all that does is make it worse. And I've seen that a lot. Just right now working with the youth, they get threatened. Some of them put their hands on their parents. That's understandable, but some of them be calling the police on something minor because they can't raise their kids. And next thing you know, there's something I read that a kid, the parents called the kid, and you know, they called on their kid. He got killed in prison.
Wow. Yeah, that's terrible.
It was in the county. It was a county jail.
Yeah,
I saw that.
terrible.
I saw that online.
That's terrible. So how were you able to turn your life around?
Well, it started when I was in federal prison. You know, after so many years in there, mad at the system, mad at what happened, mad that I had to close down my businesses. And I was like, man, if they would have took them, I probably would have felt better. But me, you know how hard that was just to close them down myself, say just shut them down. You know, so I was like, I felt salty for a while. I'm talking about, I would talk reckless. The CEO was in there, didn't care. I thought I had something that I deserved. I felt, you know, that they owe me. That's how I felt. It took probably when I got 9-10 years into half my sentence, something like that. And then I was like, started reading, when I saw the youth was coming up to me in there, talking to me, and I saw people with positive mindsets. I said, okay, some of us in here got some sense. Let's do something with it, you know. And Andre Lundy, shout out to Andre. He's
What up, though?
He's on my team. We do things, everything we said we were gonna do, we've been doing it. I need him to do more. But you know, we talked about this in Manchester, that we're gonna come out, we're gonna do this, and I still had a 37-year sentence at the time when we said that.
So how'd you get from under that 37-year sentence?
U.S. versus Roseman got a reversal, and I went into the Supreme Court under that.
Okay, my man.
God, I had a 20, 20, and another 20, plus 10 on that 20 for the gun, and 7 for leadership role. So that's how I had the 37. So I got that 20 and the 10 off because we proved that it wasn't a violent
That's
act. that
more
I was
time
knew
than a
about.
RICO. Damn.
Yeah, so, you know, so I got stuck. All the other ones came off. And the one in Manchester, one of the COs got hit. I pushed him out the way. I took a hit. He didn't get hit. He got hit by pushing him. And I got hit here. This dude didn't even want to put nothing in my jacket. It had to be one of the case managers to write it in. And when I said, I got an appeal in now for resentencing. I need you to put something in here. Or what? Then that's how that 7 came off. So that was that 37 gone, but I still had the other 2 20s still hanging on me. The judge said I can't go below the mandatory minimum. She said, I would like to. That's what, according to my attorney. He said, I would like to, but they're just going to give him back that 7 that I took off on the rehabilitation. Because that's all they could do. And then, after that, COVID hit, compassionate release, because that in itself wasn't good enough to release me. I had to have 2. My mom needed a caregiver and my rehabilitation. So rehabilitation wasn't enough because I continued doing things and I had an outdate. I was part of a reentry program over there at the prison. People were leaving. And they were going into the Minnesota Federal Court. We had a mentor that used to come in, Rocky DeYoung, and he told me, once you write the judges in Minnesota, they wrote letters. The public defender's office wrote letters on my behalf. I'll put them in my brief. And
That's
you know,
dope.
and
That's dope.
so
I'm
when I
grateful.
got out,
I'm grateful that it worked out
Yeah.
for you, brother, because since you've been home, bro, you've been an absolute blessing to me. Because since you've been home, you've been right by my side. You're always calling me, texting me, what can I do? How can I help you? What do you need? You know what I'm saying? Like definitely I'm glad that it worked out for you.
I owed
bro.
it to Southwest.
Yeah.
I owed it to Southwest.
Yeah.
I was always at the Hispanic Center with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every event.
Unloading
Anything that happened.
chairs, doing every expungement fair, every event you was there, you was setting up. I mean, since day one, bro. And I've expressed my gratitude for you, our friendship, and everything that you've done, man. I'm grateful for it, man. I salute you.
Hey,
Much love. Keep up the
Thank
good
you.
work.
Thank you for, you know.
Yes, sir.
It's my pleasure doing that.
And just to piggyback on that, obviously, I met Steve similar in that respect because he said, you know, I've heard great things about you, Laura, and I want you to help some of the youth that I'm helping. So I need someone like yourself who's kind of been through this rocky road, but you came out, you know, on top. And the youth that I work with need to see a mentor like that. And so is there any way that you would be willing to work with me? I heard out of story, and obviously speaking to his, she's your cousin, right? Yeah. Speaking to his cousin, I was like, yeah, whatever I can do, because I always try to make sure that I show up for people and I want to help
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And so
He
it
got
was
me
easy.
into Melvindale High School
Yeah.
to go speak to him. Yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, and then Rocky DeYoung also introduced me to the Kingsmen. Shout out to the Kingsmen.
Yeah, shout out to
Minnesota,
the Kingsmen.
which I just came
My
back
man
from.
Eric Washington. Much love to you, brother.
This is our second.
I'm gonna take a picture when I get that Red Wings jersey on too. He sent me a Red Wings
Yeah, he
jersey
told
from
me.
out there. Loved it. That was really
Eric
dope.
Washington and Tammy Washington were on your podcast when they
Yes,
came
they
to town.
were on my podcast as well. That was dope.
They came twice. They came twice to Detroit, and I've been twice to Minnesota. They treat me with love and respect. We were out there with judges, taking pictures with federal judges. Same judges were there again. And, you know,
That's
it's
dope.
different. We can't do that
That's
in our system
networking,
here.
baby.
We
Yeah.
can't do it in Michigan.
Yeah, that's you
They
know.
got the mentoring element there. We got judges.
There-
One of the judges there sentenced one dude 20 years. He's eating with him.
Yeah, yup. That's dope. That's
You know,
dope.
and
I
our
love
crew,
it.
we religiously meet every Sunday.
And it's crazy because
on that
there was
Zoom.
once upon a time where we didn't qualify for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Now we're the most qualified. You know what I'm saying? Because why? Because of the suffering we endured, the experience. There's no better teacher than experience itself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, brother, thank you. We got my man Yusuf Bunchy Shakur here. I watched your documentary at, what was it, Mama Aku's house?
Mama Cook Community House.
Yes. I thought that was so dope. It was so creative. I went in there and they just turned that whole space into like a school, a classroom. I mean, an event space, like everything upstairs, downstairs. Everything was historical. It told a story, you know what I'm saying? And then watching your documentary, bro, I felt so connected to it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I salute you. I admire you. I got so much respect for you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm excited to have you here on the El Nino podcast to be able to share your story, brother.
Thank you for having me. And what up, though, to your audience? So I grew up Detroit, like most of us, native.
What side of town you was on?
West
That's
side,
right.
particular neighborhood, Zone 8.
That's
I grew
right.
up at, actually, where the Mama Cool house is on the block that I grew up on, literally right down the street. So by the age 13, I've been kicked out of all Detroit public schools. Had co-founded the gang in my neighborhood called Zone 8 after the neighborhood. By the age 15, my mother made me a ward of the state. Not because she believed in the system, but she was looking for options to save me from myself, save me from possibly, again, when you think about the 80s, a lot of young people was getting killed. A lot of folks was going to prison or disappearing and things. And so as a mother, a single mother, didn't want that to happen on her watch. So she made the toughest decision, as you know, relate to you. You know, our house getting shot up, you know, people throwing firebombs, right? When you get caught up in that gang mentality, Sayinka Shakur of the H-Ray Gangsta Crips, in his book, he talked about, like, we call it a lifestyle, it's actually a death style.
For sure.
And then, you know, my research and my writing, I also talk about it, it's addiction. We become streetaholics. We become addicted to the streets. And that addiction feeds that pain, that hurt, that nothing else at that moment, because we're just so trapped in an undeveloped mind state. So by the age 19, I went to prison for a crime I didn't do. And while in prison, my mother's prayers was answered where I met my father for the first time.
Wow, that is crazy.
And
That is crazy. You met your father for the first time in prison? What
So
prison was it?
So I knew of him prior to going to prison, but as a father, that's where I met. I knew the sperm donor. So when I go to prison, I'm at MTU. My father is literally actually across the dirt road at IMAX. And I tell you, anybody who go to prison, if you caught up in dumb stuff, you fighting in and out the hole. You just going down that trajectory, and you realize the guys you hanging with, like, man, you need, when mama tell you, them ain't your friends. And that logic started to kick in, and like, who can I trust? And like, shit, I can write my father. And I don't know what possibly come out of it, but it was the best decision that I wrote. And I remember in the first letter he wrote back to me, he dropped a lot of wisdom on me, but one thing that really stood out, which was he talked about my spelling. Like, you misspelled knowledge, you misspelled religion. And when Malcolm X was in prison, he read the dictionary. I think you should get a dictionary, right? It would have hurt my pride, but the love I felt on those letters, like, I was functionally literate, so I really didn't comprehend, but I felt that wanting to be there, that protection.
In a letter, huh?
Yeah.
In a letter, bro. Letters are so powerful.
Yeah.
When you hand write a letter,
absolutely, and because
sometimes people would type letters and it just wasn't the same, but you can feel the emotion, the time, the love that goes into a letter, bro.
Yeah, so we began our relationship through those letters, and he began to paint a picture of what transformation, of what redemption would look like, and God being a blessed planner, we would be at the same prison a year later, and that began to open up my eyes to what transformation. But there was 2 books. And then at that moment, I didn't meet my father personally. I met a model of what redemption was, and through there, he became my father again. And at that moment, he told me that the greatest gift that a father can give his child is precious time. And up to this point, I've neglected you and given my time. And from this point, I'll do everything in my power to give you my time. And 5 years later, at that moment, I had to reconstruct myself, and I had to earn my own right as who I'll become as yourself.
Were you hesitant to embrace your father? Did you have any animosity towards him initially, or was it welcoming You know, did you welcome him? Were your arms open for him, or was it like?
Well, the animosity and the hesitation was in the letters. Again, the first letter I wrote to him, again, I'm asking for help, but also I'm sabotaging. I'm like, man, I ain't trying to hear what I told you speeches. He's like, you ain't been there. But my mind's street. But the letters prior to us meeting kind of broke that down. I'm getting to know him to some degree. So when I get to that prison that he's at, well, I'm on that bus. I'm at MR, and we going up to Algin Max, and that's almost like a 7-8 hour drive.
Well, you was in the trenches.
Yeah. So during that time, all I can think about, like, wow, I'm about to be with the prison my father. So after I go to the intake, I asked the guard, like, man, you know such and such. He was like, yeah. He was like, man, he's a model prisoner. All he does is run the yard. I mean, he had nothing but positive things to say about my father.
Wow.
And so, you know, when you coming out the streets, one thing that we respect is real, even though we may not know necessarily what real is. And my father, everything he said in his letters, he was. And he
Yes,
said,
sir.
I remember one time he told me, you know, no matter what prison you go on, you can never get nobody to say nothing bad about me. And when he said to me, you know, I had to like really sit on like, huh? Because it's not saying he was perfect, but like to say that, because he was telling me like I hold myself to a certain standard. I'm above this bullshit. And even though I'm in prison, my mind ain't in prison. And that began again to paint the picture and set the standard for me. So it helped transform this mentality from a gang member to become a revolutionary in prison. But it was also through the literature.
Is your father still in prison?
He's been in prison 40 years. I'm 52 years on this earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so in there, you know, through reading and studying, it opened up my eyes, and also, you know, the ability to create something new. And so when we was together for the second time, it was only like a day or two, because we at Carson City. So I knew I was close to going home. And he looked at me in my eyes and he told me that they can keep the lion caged, but the cub must go free. And when the cub goes free, part of the lion goes with him.
Ooh, that's cold. That's
So,
the truth,
yeah.
for sure.
So I've been home 25 years next year. So you see my father in me. Since I've been home, I've started at community college, earned my PhD about a year and a half ago, doing community work, doing the things that I knew what I wanted to do, but what I was doing inside, and to come home to be a revolutionary in my community.
So how did your set feel about you changing your lifestyle?
You know, you come home, there's a new generation. So that generation is not necessarily connected to me per se. It's my son, my nephews, whatever. I mean, and a lot of guys, because we know too many people have been to prison. And we know a lot of folks who go to prison, they change their name, they stop eating pork.
Oh,
they read a few books.
They don't say the N-word no more.
You know, right. You know, they write letters, they paint the picture. You know, I get home, I'm gonna do this and do that, but don't do a goddamn thing. So that was the greatest challenge that I had to face, because I seen you before. I heard that story before, but also the little homies had not necessarily seen that level of consistency. And my consistency won many of them over. And there are others, they don't want to change, because you become a mirror to them. A mirror what change can look like. So again, like, you know, 24 years later, to be on the block that I grew up on, having a community house, and a lot of my young homeboys, and you know, when they go through what they go through, they can come here and sit on the porch. So it's been a give and take. I mean, a lot of other, I remember, you know, I wrote a book, and so I was like, man, he's snitching. I'm the same guy that went to prison for a crime I didn't do.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
it comes with the territory, and it's part of trying to influence you to get back into that. And so once like, for me, I understand the dynamics of how the system manipulates us against each other. You know, that self-hate.
Oh yeah, definitely. Trust me, I know the feeling, bro. It's easy to do time for something you did, but it's a lot harder to do the time for something that you didn't do.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
In my case, you know, my man, he was the trigger man. He made the decision on his own to shoot and kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? But I stood on the ethics. I stood on all 10. I believed in loyalty. The power in silence, all that. And I went for the ride. I lost everything. You know what I'm saying? But ever since then, I don't let nobody drive the car no more. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying?
Right.
Hell no, that was a lifelong lesson. I said, can't nobody drive the car no more. You know what I'm saying? Because you fucked that all the way up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But the best thing about it is I have more now than I've ever had. You know what I'm saying? And I got it all the right way.
True that.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. Obviously, I've never heard your story, but it truly hit me. And I think about the intersectionality between, our Latinos that were in Southwest Detroit. And I think, when I was growing up, every single family, either it was a brother or a sister or a cousin, someone was affected by the gangs, and no one cared. It was like they wanted to see them go to jail. They wanted to see them kill each other. It was like inherent. And in Southwest Detroit, everybody was affected. And then you left behind this trail of tears, right? And it was us. It was us. And what do we do? How do we create a space for them to come back? And will they come back? And like you had said, Hilario, it's sometimes you just get so comfortable, and you're like, this is where I am. This is where I'm going to be. I got to be here. But for me, I would tell my brother all the time, Mario, you're coming home. You're never going back. I'm never going to let you go back. I'll go back before you go back because I'm not going to let that happen to you. Because for me, he was 16.
Right.
16. And so just thank you so much. And I don't know that people take the time to listen to these stories and really process what that means to lose those years of life, youth, to lose, experiences, and when I think of, yourself, you said you were convicted of a crime that you didn't even do. And I think of my brother, when you're 16, 17 years old, that's when a guy is like first coming out, having fun,
your balls just dropped.
And he lost all of that, learning how to drive, and
barely lost your virginity.
Well, you don't know Mario, but but leave that aside. But I say those things to say that he lost all of those experiences, and when he came out, as a 25, 26-year-old man, everyone expected him to be a 25, 26-year-old man, but really there were so many experiences that were the first time experiences that he was having. Yeah, that he was still having. And here I am, his younger sister, who was so much more mature. I was a Detroit public school teacher. I was, always had all my stuff together. And I was like, Mario, I got to help you. I got to teach you how to be a man out here too, and he read a lot, he did a lot of really good things, and he's done a lot of amazing things now that he's been out. But thank you so much for sharing the story. Thank you for allowing me to be on this panel with you and share this space with you, for real.
But I just want to point out too, that those trail of tears that you're talking about is the opportunity to redeem our lives. And it's through that pain that we can refine ourselves, because oppressed people have more in common than we realize, and that's being oppressed. And once we realize that, the opportunity to grow and be something new. But what oppression does, it breeds a level of shame. Growing up with wearing hand-me-down clothes, being in a foster car, that pain, that stigma, as if that's our fault, but it's the neglection of the society. And that's the purpose of when we talk about the film. The film is a tool, because I'm your brother. Like those stories is so universal that we can flip our names around, and they've become so common that our goal is to make them uncommon by creating a new pathway.
Oh no, absolutely, 100%, and that's my goal. Working at the Wayne County Juvenile Detention Facility, like my first week in there, I had to go have a conversation with God, because I was like, you just sent me to go try to tame these hyenas, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't give a fuck about nothing, you know what I'm saying? They don't care about no authority. They don't care about no adults. They don't care about men. They disrespect the women, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, I want to make sure I'm in the right space. I'm supposed to be here, you know what I'm saying? And I prayed on it, bro. And the very next day, I woke up with a whole different mindset, because I said, if I am supposed to be here, give me the right mindset, give me the right heart, the right spirit, the understanding. make me the most diligent, make me the most patient, make me the most understanding. And I woke up that next day enlightened, ready, prepared, energetic to go to work and serve. You know what I'm saying? To be that vessel. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna give me here, give me everything that I need to be successful. And I started holding the peace circles and the healing circles, and God got them to open up, start talking about things as I started sharing of my story. And they were like, you know, and they're very common. A lot of us have stories that are very common. And just to comment on you, like he was talking about the Trail of Tears. You know, we were raised to be warriors. We were raised to be fearless. So killing, dying, going to prison, it was like a badge of honor no matter what. You know what I'm saying? If I was to die, I would die in the honor of my community, of my gang, my hood. You know what I'm saying? If I go to prison, they're going to fear me. They're going to respect me. You know, if you kill me or if I kill you, they're going to, you know, they're going to respect me. They're going to, you know, it was a badge of honor no matter how it went. You know, I really feel bad for the brothers that I lost at a young age because they really didn't get the opportunity to grow up and do things different or see things different. You know what I'm saying? But you know, they live through me and my actions. You know what I'm saying? And the things that I do. You know, and yeah, I mean, you know, redefining manhood is very important right now.
I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary on August 18th, and it'll be at Grace in Action, and I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be super impactful, and I think that there's a lot of, you know, people that I know that should go to see this documentary, because as you said, we can change the name, we could change the, you know, the color of the skin, but in Southwest Detroit, there's so many people that today are still trying to make it right, still trying to understand, still trying to walk that path, still trying to find themselves. And so having these stories and then maybe giving a space for us to also tell our stories and come together and have that that intersectionality between us, and all of us telling these stories of redemption and what we do with it, and then also having that perspective of what the people that truly held you down were like, you know, and making sure that everyone has a space, everyone has a voice, and so I'm really excited about that August 18th at Grace in Action, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Seriously,
man,
I
you
really
gotta
am.
see it.
I'm
It's
really looking forward to seeing
it's
it.
so inspirational.
I would say show it to the
I
youth
wish
where
I
you're at.
could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Oh
yeah.
no,
Hey,
for sure.
if
Maybe
you
I
wanna
could
see
get you to
it-
come on in and speak to the youth, man.
Oh, absolutely.
You could go on YouTube now and just see the trailer. The trailer is going to want you to come to the screening. I mean, just look at The Road to Redemption. Beautiful story. That got me right there. Wanted me to be a part of this. Just watching the trailer alone. And hopefully you guys will come out for the screening.
Again,
August 18th.
and I'm gonna say them again. It's a tool. I've been on this path, talking, and I remember one time, you know, doing an interview, and a young lady came up to me, like, "You gave me the courage to look at myself. You gave me the courage to go back and want to, build a relationship with my mother," and that's what this is about. Because none of us go through this by ourselves. Like no man or woman is an island to themselves, and that's how America has tricked us. And when you look at the levels of incarceration, the levels of oppression that our communities experience, it's tied into systematic racism. It's tied in, like, prison. It was born out of the 13th Amendment. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist except for punishment of a crime. So the same amendment that's supposed to abolish slavery actually legalized slavery.
Wow.
And then legalize, again, we live in a capitalist country. You know, the money that they pay to incarcerate us, imagine what that looked like if they invest in our communities. The schools that you and I went to, they between $5,000 and $7,000. That has no impact on the greater outlook. But then you undermine our mothers, incarcerate our fathers, and this is the mess that we have to come out of. And this is why it's important that we're talking about doing this, because we are the leaders that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that can save ourselves.
I would say that, I said this to Araf. He was going through something a couple of days ago, and I said, there's a master plan out there, right? And we can plan all day. We can say we want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. Or, oh, I got the job of my dreams, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to knock this out. And then something happens, and it deters us, or it knocks us down, and we're like, oh man, but I was doing everything. I thought I was doing everything right, because there's this master plan that we don't have a say in it, right? And that master plan puts us in positions like being on this panel right now with you all, or like you being in prison with your father for the very first time, or like me being able to say, I'm going to, do everything that I can. I am Mario's sister. So there was a master plan that was created by a master to say, hey, you're going to have that strong person that you need in your life. You're going to meet that person that's going to be there and hold you down. You're going to meet your dad when he's ready to give you the knowledge that you needed to have so that you could change the trajectory of your life. And so for me, I truly am a believer in that, and I believe that I have been guided and I've been protected, and I'm thankful when I interact with somebody for the first time and I meet them and I'm like, wow, like this is a really good person. I'm so glad. I probably would have never met them, but I'm so happy that I opened myself up to meeting this person and, being open to listening and receiving them. And so, I always live by that. Yeah.
No, that's dope. And, that's really what separated you from all the rest, because you easily could have fell in line with everything because, gangs back then, the whole family got recruited. It wasn't just you. Everybody got recruited, I lived in Chicago. I mean, there were generations of gangs. I used to hang out with a lot of Latin kings out there, and they're like, oh, yeah, my grandparents are kings and queens, my kids, their kids, everybody, you know what I'm saying?
I definitely broke the cycle in our family.
Yeah,
I definitely was not. I definitely broke the cycle in our family, and I said this a couple weeks ago on Facebook. I have a 16-year-old son, and he actually just started talking to me, telling me he wanted to go to Michigan State. I don't remember having that conversation. I went to Wayne State, but I could never have that conversation with my family because they didn't see that as a potential for me. They wanted me to follow in their footsteps as being in a gang, as being, street person. And I didn't fit it. I didn't belong. I was the one that didn't belong. And now to hear my son and know that somehow I put in his mind that, college is something that is possible for you. And he said it. I didn't say it to him. And he's talking to me about what he wants to do. And as a mother, I don't think that there's anything better that I could have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Because back then, growing up, I didn't know nobody that graduated. We were not having no conversations about prom, homecoming, graduation, nothing. Everything was, what's the mission? How we gonna eat? How we gonna pay these bills? At 15 years old, I was the man of the house already. So, I had to drop out of school at 9th grade because I didn't have time to go to school and make a living. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I was deprived of a youth. I was deprived of childhood, and then the childhood that I do remember, it was filled with trauma, I mean, shit, my mom even told me that, even when she was pregnant with me, and, God rest my father's soul, but, he used to be an alcoholic and he's very abusive. And she was like, yeah, your dad used to kick me in the stomach when I was pregnant with you. So I'm like, damn, like, I've been a victim of violence before my toes even touched the earth. You know what I'm saying? And then just growing up in it, and, and then you think that it's normal, right.
That part, yeah.
You got a book in your hand. What's that book about?
Oh, yeah, thank you. You're so funny. I was blessed to have an opportunity to be in this book that is a national book. It's Innovations of the World, and it's Innovate Detroit. So it's a really awesome book, Innovate Detroit. And as the first Latina executive director of one of the oldest nonprofits in the city of Detroit, Southwest Detroit Business Association, I was asked to write a thought piece. And, I'm no longer with that organization, but I'm so thankful to have had that platform and to have had that opportunity. And my thought piece is published in this book with other amazing nonprofit leaders in our community. And I'm just so proud of it. I really am so proud of it. Because, I'm in
a fancy book, hardcover. It's got a lot of important people in it. And look at you. That's where you at.
Yeah, and there's, another section in there. But, Hilario, we've talked about this a couple times, I'm just a girl from the neighborhood, homeless, slept in Clark Park, foster kid, and I just worked really hard. And whenever I get an opportunity to tell that story and to look at children or to look at young people and to look at somebody and say, every single odd that could have been put against me was there, but I believe in you. And all it takes is one person to believe in you and to tell your story and keep telling your story because, your voice has power, your story is powerful, and to be able to believe in people is something just so magical. And I'm thankful. I refer to myself as the daughter that Southwest Detroit raised, because there were amazing,
That's hard.
amazing people that uplifted me and would not let me continue to sleep in that park. That said, I'm going to make sure you have an apartment at 15. That I'm going to make sure that you have this. I'm going to make sure you have a full-time job. And I love Southwest Detroit. I'm always going to advocate for Southwest Detroit. But, as I continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to meet people, continue to engage, I'm a true Detroiter. I wear Detroit on my chest all day long. But also, I really, really want to always be that person that people can lean on and know that I'm going to show up for you, because people showed up for me.
That's
It sounds like you just named the title to your next book.
Yeah, for real. And I mean, honestly, none of us were supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? We were faced with everything that was built to destroy us. We were not supposed to make it, So that's why I don't take nothing for granted. Every day I am grateful for everything. I mean, fingers and toes. You know what I'm saying? The fact that I can wake up and have me a bowl of cereal for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, like I said, you never know what you got till you ain't got it no more. I've suffered and been through so much and endured so much, you know what I'm saying, that I'm like, you know what? Everything was built to destroy me, built to go against me. I was supposed to either die in prison or die in the streets, and I didn't. And that just reaffirmed for me that I have a purpose here. I am actually here for a reason, you know what I'm saying? And I plan on fulfilling that. And I want to continue to grow, and I want to continue to impact lives, and, continue to have panels like this of people who, who have overcame everything that was, sent to destroy them,
I think that sometimes, I get into rooms just because I look the way that I look, right? And they don't expect me to tell the story that I tell, right? But then when I tell that story, they're like, wow, like she's really she's battle tested, right? And she's a warrior. But I don't take that for granted, right? And I'm so thankful, because I always want to bring somebody with me, somebody that wouldn't get through that door. Because just because you have tattoos or whatever it is, it doesn't make you that image that they think you are. You're someone else, and that they need to hear your story too. And they might be open to hearing mine, but I'm going to make sure that I bring everybody along the way every time. Yeah.
I thanks to the DHDC, I got, all my gang tattoos removed off of me. And I was working on getting some other stuff. I got a chopper on here, and just all the street shit that I was into, I got tattooed. And so the little homies at the juvenile facility, they're like, what was that, man? What was on there, And I'm like, man, I took my gang tattoos off. And they're like, why you take the chopper off? I said, because how do I look sitting here talking to you, talking about put the guns down, nonviolence, trying to teach you a new way, and then I got all this stuff marked on me. And they like, yeah, you right. You know what I'm saying? And then they talk about, getting out of gang life. Like a lot of people would be like, oh, yeah, well, I was told that you had to die out. You had to get killed to get out. I said, well, you know what? I'm glad that I got the brothers I was in, because that was one of the biggest decisions that I had to make, because since I was about 13, I've been carrying my flag. And like I said, I've been devoted to that, and every decision that I made had to coincide with the best interest of the gang. I never really made independent, decisions or anything that was in the best interest of myself or my family. And I said, I never want to make my family secondary to anything anymore. I deprived my mother, I deprived my brothers, I deprived myself, you know what I'm saying, of the love and the loyalty that they deserve, you know what I mean? And so, I called home. I called, the brothers. I hit the brothers in the joint, and I'm like, listen, I need to retire my flag. I need to be done with it, because anything that I'm committed to, I'm devoted to, you know what I'm saying? And I said, I can't be committed to this no more, you know what I'm saying? Because I want to be liberated. I want to be able to make, my own decisions. I want to be able to walk in my own power and live in my own purpose, And, the brothers were very supportive of it, Some of them were sad to, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you ain't losing me, you know what I'm saying? I got to be able to spread my wings. I can't be confined, you know what I'm saying, to any one place, one block, one territory, one neighborhood, none of that, you know what I'm saying? God gave us this great earth to be able to roam and to be able to share our stories of greatness, you know what I mean? So, you know, that was a huge decision that I made. And you know what? To this day, I have more love and respect for my brothers now than ever. You know, and I've been able to step up and help them, and they help me. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's all good. It can be done. You know what I'm saying? And if those are your real true brothers, and you trying to do something positive, and they support and they ain't supporting you, then that ain't your real brothers. You know what I'm saying? For real.
I absolutely know what you're saying, and I'm glad that you said that. I think that that's really important because people need to understand that, you know, you do make choices and you do have choices, and sometimes it's just a very serious conversation that has to be had. But you know, again, speaking from the family perspective, you know, I don't know how many times our house was shot up. I don't know how many times I was chased by machetes. I had nothing to do with anything, you know. But the thing is that we survived that, and here we are today, all of us. In spite of that,
yes.
Stronger, you know, successful, educated, have our business, you know, doing amazing things, helping amazing people. And if there's ever anything that I can do for any of you guys, you know, just let me know.
Thank you.
I'm
Same
on
here.
LinkedIn. I'm on
Same
Instagram.
here.
My cell phone has been my same cell phone for like 30 years. So, you know, I don't change. And anytime, you know, I want to always be truly, you know, a connector, a community connector, a resource, an ally, an asset. And I think that that's why a lot of people show up for me, because I don't just speak it, I actually walk it, you know, and I think that that's
Walk
really
it like
valuable.
I talk it.
Yeah.
Walk it like I talk it. No, you are definitely a very well respected and admirable, you know, woman leader in our community. For real, definitely recognized.
I wanna bounce off what Yusuf said earlier about people say they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that while they're in prison. I saw some that were really serious about it, but because of re-entry, they had a lot of problems, and they were too concentrated on getting housing, a job, and they just lost all that motivation. No more momentum. And if anybody still wants to get that momentum, that's listening to this, and they still feel it in their heart, come on out, reach out to us, because I got a lot of brothers are hitting me up. You're doing great things out there. You're doing this is as I'm proud of you. Come join us. I know you want to do it because they've done it when they were in there. I know the people. They know who I'm talking about. You know, they need to come out and help us out with this, because we're not stopping here. We're not stopping with the screen and only.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's what the importance of August 18th, the opportunity to invite folks out, but also beyond just the black and brown issue individually, but collectively, in which we don't see enough of that, and the opportunity to pour into that, because the resurrection comes out of what we're hearing, and it's because the individual story is okay, but the collective story, this is a collective narrative. And this is how you build movements. This is how you create the sustainability of getting beyond where we are. Because recidivism is real, but that recidivism is also tied into the undermining of our communities, where our mothers have been left to hold down households by themselves, and our fathers have come home to continue to be scarred. So this is a healing movement. This is a healing opportunity to come out the closet and open up, but also to march towards liberation.
And we want to make sure that it's not just, you know, the people that went to prison. We want the families to come.
Absolutely.
We want to see the families. We want to see even your children. We want them to be able to be a part of this and understand it and take it in, and then go home and have a discussion, have a dialogue, you know, and see what's next about that. So I think it's really important for us to have those conversations.
You know, it's crazy because at the juvenile detention facility, it's ran by women. It's predominantly all women that work there, and they're tired. You know, they're wore out. They're tired. And I was like, you know, they wanted me to hold a peace circle with the third cohort that's coming in right now, and it was very fruitful. But the women had expressed when I was going through my training that it's hard to get men in there. You know what I'm saying? Because the men leave all the time. You know, because you know, Michigan juvenile facilities, they just went through all this, you know, sexual abuse thing, and they were sued for millions and millions of dollars. So, you know, now in the facilities, like, you know, they totally changed the rules where there's like hardly any rules, you know what I'm saying, for the residents. That's what we call them, our residents. And So they act a fool because there's no real consequences. If they assault the staff, if they assault each other, they can spit on you, kick you, slap you, punch you, threaten you. They can do all this shit, and the only thing that's going to happen is they're going to get a 15-minute timeout to go reflect on their behavior. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of men, you know, men who are prideful men, ego, you know, all that type of stuff, like, they can't do it. They can't just allow somebody to punch me in the face or assault me or spit on me or kick me, you know what I'm saying? So they leave. They walk away and they leave. And I'm like, damn, it's like a whole bunch of single moms in here raising everybody's kids. You know what I'm saying? But we have to be able to find men to sign up that can stay, that are strong enough, you know, spiritually and mentally and mature enough to be there and take your licks. You know what I'm saying?
We also have to do a call to action to parents, right? And I think that that's one thing that we're missing, right? Because there's definitely a call to action on how we're raising our children. You know, and as a parent of a 16-year-old son, you know, we teach them. You know, I was just at the Toledo Zoo this weekend, and there was these children that were acting crazy, just crazy. As a parent, we allow that. If we allow that behavior as a baby and it continues and we're the parent. You have to remember, you are the parent. And if you're allowing that behavior to continue to persist, it's only going to perpetuate and turn to worse. And if there's no consequences, there's never no consequences, then you end up with children in detention centers. You end up with young adults in detention centers. You end up with all of this stuff because they've never faced consequences.
Right.
And so as parents, we got to step up. We got to do better, you know, because you don't have to go through a training. You don't have to go through a certification. You don't have to have any type of education. You could just become a parent, right? So what does that look like? And you know, as a product of, you know, a parent with mental illness, I knew what that was like, and for whatever reason, you know, I was blessed. Like I said, the daughter of Southwest Detroit Rays, I had a lot of strong people that really helped me out, but not everyone has that. And so as parents, we have to do better. And so when we're looking at these young people that are in with you, you know, like there was a start. They weren't born that way. You know, there were things that happened along the way, and we as parents didn't do our job. And so we have to remember that is a job, raising these children.
One of our residents in there, I think he's like 16 years old. He's been shot 5 different times on 5 different occasions. Body full of bullet holes, legs, chest, everything, you know. And just a month ago, he called home and his brother just got shot too. And it's like part of the culture. It's like normal, you know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to empower this brother to do different, because I'm like, damn, bro, I know a person got shot one time and was out of there, you know what I'm saying? I said, so if you've been shot 5 different times on 5 different occasions, that means that you got purpose. You here for a reason, brother. You know what I'm saying? Because you should have been dead at the first time. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, it sounds like these kids respect you.
They do.
Because you walk in the same shoes. Wouldn't that be the perfect job for returning citizens?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why I said we're the most qualified.
Yeah.
You know? But we
got
have to
these people
have
running
men that are humble enough, that are tolerant enough, that are patient enough, who are the most understanding to be able to have a job like this. Because I ain't gonna lie, when I sit amongst the men,
They test your gangster.
oh man, oh yeah, they call you a bitch. They call you everything. They talking about beating your ass and yeah, when one goes, they all go. You know what I'm saying? It's terrible. It's just like the shit you see when when you get jumped by 10 of them at one time. But I just I'm like, you know what, man, we can't just keep walking away from this shit, you know. And that's what they're used to. Men just walking away from the home, from marriage, from fatherhood, from responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to quit walking away. We got to strap our nuts on and be the men that we supposed to be and take care of our business. You know, I mean, sometimes you might have to take a lick or two. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know, I like to live in the liking of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes you got to turn the other cheek. You know, but you know, one thing that they know is I'm still here. You know, I'm still here, and I think that really makes a difference for them.
Yusuf said something about time, right? That giving your time was the most precious thing. I used to work with family assistance for Renaissance men, and one of the things that Willie Bell used to say is that a lot of these fathers didn't have the money to give to their children, for child support and things like that. I said, it's the time. The kid just wants your time. The mother just wants you to spend time with your child. And so we shortcut that and not understanding what that is, to kind of be in that moment and be with these young people and teach them. You have to teach them, and be the example, be the role model. And yeah, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes too, but I learn from my mistakes, and I want you to avoid. I want to help you so that you avoid those mistakes, And I think that those are very teachable moments, but we have to be willing to be vulnerable with our youth and be open to sharing that vulnerability with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I told them being in there is an unnatural space for you because you're deprived of all the natural resources that God has given us and that we're entitled to and that we need. We need the sun, we need the earth, we need the air, we need the water, all these types of resources that you're being deprived of being in an environment like that. You're being deprived of it.
Love.
Yeah, love.
Yeah.
You're in an environment where it ain't nothing but concrete, bricks, walls. Everything's cold, everything's hard, everything's industrial in there. That's not love, that's product, But that's what I told everybody. I say, you know what? The one thing that is the most powerful thing that you can give here is just unconditional love. Just love on them. They're young people. Some of them have, mental illness challenges, whatever it is, whatever it takes. You know what I'm saying? It's like just everything you do, just do it with love. You know what I mean? Because you just can't go wrong when your intentions are good, And, I'm surprised to say that myself because, I've been fucked over more than anybody I know. And I mean, I'm like, God dang, I'm always trying to do right by people and do good by people. And I got great hospitality and I always just give. I'm the person, I take my shirt off my back for you. And somehow you find a way to backstab me, fuck over me, short me, do something crazy. And, there was a point in time where I resented my own heart. I hated who I was, but I had to have a talk with God. I had to figure it out. I had to find a formula. You know what I'm saying? So, you should never feel bad about doing something good,
Definitely been there.
Yeah, I think we all. When you have a heart like that, you all gonna be there.
Definitely been there, but then
Comes the
also
territory.
that conversation that you have with the higher power, and you say, you know what, Diosito, I know that I was here for something better, and I know this is a test. I know this is a challenge. You're trying to see how I'm gonna come through. How am I gonna come at the end? But yeah, definitely been there. So, I know exactly how you feel for sure.
Yeah, for real.
But looking forward to August 18th. Hope that everyone can join us on August 18th at Grace in Action. Looking forward to being in your space once more, and hopefully we can do something else together. But
look forward to that.
I really hope that families come out. I really hope that we see a lot of people from the neighborhood and allies as well. I think that we need to have allies so that they can continue to grow this project and allow it to become bigger. I think that there's so much more that could come to fruition from this, and looking forward to what that looks like.
Shout out to Jose Rivera at the Detroit Forever 313. We were there last week, and it was everybody showed up and showed out for it. I was grateful for the opportunity to meet new people and be able to share my story. And we did a Q&A, and it was all good, and more so just because of where were we at. Me and Jose Rivera, we did time together, and it's just great to see brothers, come home and do something with themselves,
Do we have a location yet? Do we have a location yet for August 18th?
Grace in Action.
What is that?
Grace in Action.
Okay, you heard that right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
So it's gonna be a Grace in Action 6 to 8 on August 18th.
That's right. So before we close out, man, let's leave a last word, man. Let's leave a last word. We're gonna start with you, brother.
Being vulnerable is not weak. Being vulnerable is how you become strong.
Ooh, that's cold. That's cold. That's powerful.
Support is everything.
Yes, sir.
I think you just have to show up, stand up, and speak up.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And for me, it just, don't ever take anything for granted. Cultivate the best part of yourself, and the things that you don't like about yourself, work on it. Don't give up on yourself. You're here for a reason, and everybody didn't wake up today. Another thing that plagues our communities is addiction, drug addiction. I told people I'm collecting obituary cards like people collect baseball cards. It's sad to see. It's unfortunate. Death does not discriminate. Addiction does not discriminate. It don't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're black, white, brown. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking up our whole society, and it's sad and it's unfortunate. So, one battle at a time, man. We in it to win it. You know what I'm saying? But we need more people to step up and, bring out the best in the people that you love. But, you got something you want to say?
Just
You good?
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you
Oh,
for
yeah,
having
man.
us for
Shout
sure.
out,
Yes.
shout out once again.
Yes.
Joanna Velasquez, Leon Benson, Joshua Puckett.
For sure, 100%.
Boris.
Yeah.
Raul.
Raul
Yes,
Echeverria.
yes.
Where's the- oh, yeah, he's
Right
hiding.
there.
EB,
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
EB in the house, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
And EB, that's right.
That's right, man. I love it, and my doors are always open to you guys. If you just want to come here and brainstorm, if you want to hang out, you want to chill, or if you want to come back on and get in front of the cameras and share something else, my door is open. That is what the space is for. You know what I'm saying? So much love to everybody. Keep your head up. Thanks again for coming. You guys are always
Yeah,
welcome.
one more time. Thank you, Michigan Roundtable, Detroit Action, Kingsman Project, El
And
Nino
SDPJ
Podcast,
Housing.
and Steps to Change.
That's right.
You're gonna
That's
forget
right.
Steps to Change. That's my nonprofit.
And mine is Raices Detroit. For those of you who don't know, Raices Detroit.
Okay.
More to come on that. Yeah,
That's
for
right.
sure.
That's
Sounds like
right.
a restaurant. That's my competition now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a
Or Sterling
competition.
Heights.
It wouldn't be a competition.
We're going to keep it pushing. Much love to the Legal Aliens podcast. See you guys next Monday. Stay up and stay safe.